1.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offense.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikule Amosu.
Welcome to News Desk on Celebration TV. I am Comfort James, and it is many thanks for joining us. Quickly a look at the news making the rounds for today. ACF decries federal government's lamentations, says Nigeria insecure under Buhari. Ivory Coast Ouattara appoints former rival to cabinet. On COVID-19, Germany introduces new restrictions amid rise in cases. Federal government orders telcos to block SIMs without NINs, December 30th. On the fire, Arteta vows to stop Arsenal blip. Stay with us to bring you the details of these news stories and more after this timeout. Welcome back, and now the news in details. ACF decries federal government's lamentation, says Nigeria insecure under Buhari. The Pan-Northern Socio-Political Organization Arewa Consultative Forum went hard on the President Muhammadu Buhari over the disturbing insecurity across the country, especially in the north. The forum said Nigeria as a country was no longer secure and safe under the Buhari regime. This was the verdict of the ACF's Board of Trustees, one of the highest organs of the northern body. Rising from its maiden meeting since the inauguration of the new executive of the ACF in March, the body also lamented that the Buhari-led government had failed to heed its advice on how to tackle the spate of insecurity in the land. Speaking with newsmen shortly after the board meeting in Kaduna, the forum's National Publicity Secretary Emmanuel Yawi maintained the group is not happy with the security situation in Nigeria, noting that the forum is tired of complaining because the government appeared inactive about the insecurity. According to the ACF spokesman, Nigerian leaders should tell Nigerians what will happen if their own children are kidnapped like the poor masses. On the abduction of students of Government Science Secondary School Kankara in Katsina, the northern body says it is most disturbing for the government to say they were still negotiating with the bandits on how to release the boys. And now moving forward, AGF absence as National Assembly, INEC create Electoral Act panel. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami fails to attend the technical session on the amendment to the Electoral Act. The event, jointly organized by the National Assembly Committee on Independent National Electoral Commission and the management of INEC. The panel had last week held a public hearing on the amendment of the Electoral Act. The lawmakers started the process of the amendment on Tuesday by holding a technical session with the INEC chairman, Professor Yakubu Mahmood, in attendance. Neither Malami nor his representatives was on seat when the chairman of the Senate Committee on INEC, Senator Kabiru Gaya, and other members of the committee introduced themselves. Speaking during the meeting, the INEC board said there was the need to create additional polling units in the country. He said they need to create additional polling units. This was part of their discussion at the meeting of the commission. And in another development, Nigeria needs security restructuring, not Yoruba presidency, says Makinde. The Oyo State Governor, Mr. Sheyi Makinde, says Nigerians need adequate security and restructuring of the country much more than who occupies the presidency. The governor taunted those who he claims were running around the country because of their presidential ambition, says those politicians would soon know better. Makinde's Chief Press Secretary Taiwo Adisa said in Ibadan at the handover of 33 operational vehicles and 396 motorcycles to the Oyo State Security Agency, popularly known as Operation Amotekun. He had earlier given 25 vehicles to the police and Operation Bars to combat insecurity in the state. Speaking with Makinde, he says some of the political leaders are just laying around and saying they want to become the president of Nigeria in 2023. But he stated clearly that what they need at this stage is to secure the people and restructure Nigeria. It does not matter who is the president in Abuja. In a restructured Nigeria, every corner of the country will feel the impact of government. That is what is needed. Makinde lauded Amotekun, saying the impact of the security agency was being felt all over the state. And now looking at news stories coming from around Africa, Ivory Coast, Ouattara appoints former rival to cabinet. Ivory Coast President Alassane Ouattara has reshuffled his cabinet a day after being sworn in for a controversial third term. He appointed former presidential candidate Caudrille Konan-Bertin to be in charge of the newly created Ministry of Reconciliation. Mr. Bertin finished second in the presidential election held on 31st October, garnering 1.66% of the votes. In his inauguration speech, President Ouattara insisted that the reconciliation process following a fallout in the election that was boycotted by the opposition will not be used to encourage impunity. And still from around Africa, Uganda wants YouTube to ban channels linked to pop star. Uganda's regulator of the communications sector writes Google, which owns YouTube, a video sharing platform, asking it to close 14 channels allegedly linked to last month's riots that left more than 50 people dead. The riots broke out in the capital Kampala and other major towns following the arrest of opposition presidential candidate and musician Robert Kyagulanyi, popularly known as Bobi Wine, for violating COVID restrictions. Some of the YouTube channels targeted for closure are linked to Bobi Wine. The commission in its letter to Google said the channels were used to mobilize riots and broadcast contents that are against the law. Ugandans are set to vote on 14 January for a new parliament and president. Incumbent President Yoweri Museveni, who has been in power for over 3 decades, is seeking re-election. Coming up right after this break, there's updates from the foreign scene, and we shall be looking at Germany, so do well to stay with us.
Of love embedded in glamour, a precious gift which brought us peace. It's a sound of joy and melodies from the heavenly realm. Christmas Carol Service with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Solomon.
My lips will glorify you. The herald angels sing. Thank God it's Christmas. Thank God it's Christmas.
Happening live at the International Worship Center on Mega Fire Ministries, Kilometer 132 Makinde Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. 24th December 2020, 3 p.m. From for inquiries, please call. Come, let's marry together.
Welcome back. Still on News Desk and now looking at COVID-19 updates in Germany. New restrictions has been introduced amidst rise in cases. Germany enters a hard lockdown, closing schools and non-essential businesses in an attempt to stop a sharp rise in COVID-19 infections. The measures will be in place until 10th January. Christmas will see a slight easing, with one household allowed to host up to 4 close family members. The country reported 952 additional deaths and 23,427. Other European countries have tightened restrictions ahead of Christmas, with France introducing a nighttime curfew. Under Germany's new measures, only essential businesses such as supermarkets and banks will be allowed to remain open. Restaurants, bars and leisure centers have been shut since November, and some areas of the country had imposed their own lockdowns. Hair salons are among the businesses which must close, while drinking of alcohol in public places such as popular mulled wine stores is forbidden. Companies are being urged to allow employees to work from home. And now looking at more updates, and from the United Kingdom, still on COVID-19 updates, relaxation of UK Christmas rules unlikely to change. Sterner warnings about the dangers of mixing over Christmas are to be issued by the 4 UK nations later, but the rules allowing free households to meet are expected to remain in place. There are no plans to alter England's regulations, and sources say the other nations are unlikely to change. The plans for 23rd through 27th December will be discussed in a call between officials. It comes as London, much of Essex and parts of Hertfordshire moved into tier-free restrictions overnight. Around 61% of England's population is now living under the toughest rules. Cabinet Office Minister Michael Gove will resume talks with leaders of the devolved administrations today amid warnings hospitals could become overwhelmed if the easing of COVID regulations across the UK continues as planned. The rules will allow up to 3 households to form a bubble and stay overnight at each other's homes over a 5-day period. And now moving to the world of business, federal government orders telcos to block SIMs without NINs December. After December 30th, all subscriber identification modules that are not registered with valid national identification numbers on the network of telecommunications companies shall be blocked, the federal government has said. Gathered in Abuja, that the declaration was part of resolutions reached during an urgent meeting of key stakeholders in the communications industry that was convened by the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Issa Pantami. The spokesperson of the Nigeria Communications Commission, Ikechukwu Adinde, in a statement issued in Abuja, says the meeting was convened following the earlier directive on the suspension of new SIM registration by network operators. He stated that at the meeting, the need to consolidate the achievements of last year's SIM registration audit and improve the performance and sanity of the sector was discussed. The NCC said stakeholders agreed that urgent drastic measures had now become inevitable to improve the integrity and transparency of the SIM registration process. The Commission outlined decisions taken for immediate implementation by all network operators to include the affirmation of the earlier directive to totally suspend registration of new SIMs by all operators. It added operators to require all their subscribers to provide valid national identification numbers to update SIM registration records. Moving forward and still on business, NPA to commence automated call-up system January 2021. The Nigerian Port Authority (NPA) says it will deploy the much-expected automated call-up system of trucks into the Apapa port in Lagos to curb the problematic traffic congestions along the port corridors by next month. This is even as shippers have charged the contractors working on the port access roads to carry out palliative works on the field portions of the roads between Beggar Yard bus stop and Beggar Suya bus stop out toward Tinkan Island port. The deployment of the automated call-up system is part of the measures aimed at resolving the traffic gridlock that has threatened to ground port operations at Tinkan port. The Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria (MWUN) had threatened to embark on a warning strike last week over the gridlock. A statement signed by the Assistant General Manager, Corporate and Strategic Communications, Ibrahim Nasiru, noted that the NPA management assured members of the union and other stakeholders that the problem of congestion and rent-seeking on access roads to the ports will soon become history with the scheduled deployment of an electronic call-up system for trucks in January 2021. And coming up right next is news from the world of sports. Do well to stay with us as we bring you a lineup of interesting news stories. We'll be right back.
Yourself in your most holy faith, praying. Parada gazoko, ite kwate parikatuyas. When we pray, we activate our angels.
Pray until something happens.
Katoya, ile brakatoya, akapola. When you speak in tongues, you are printing money. You are activating your financial life.
Operation Jabez 2020 with Apostle Johnson and Dr. Lizzie Suleiman. 29th and 30th December 2020. Happening live at the International Worship Center of Omega Fire Ministries headquarters, kilometer 132 Benino, Kenya, Abuja Expressway, Auchi, Edo State, Nigeria. 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. daily. For inquiries, please call. Prepare.
Welcome back, and now to news from the world of sports. Under fire, Arteta vows to stop Arsenal blip. Mikel Arteta insists he is strong enough to cope with the pressure of Arsenal's dismal run as the Gunners' boss dismisses their recent struggle as merely a blip. Arteta has faced calls for his sacking after Sunday's 1-0 home defeat against Burnley condemned Arsenal to their worst start to a season since 1974. Arsenal have lost their last 4 home league games, their worst sequence since 1959, and another defeat at the Emirates Stadium against informed Southampton will pile further pressure on Arteta. The Spaniard was given a vote of confidence by Arsenal technical director Edu, but Arteta admitted he had to shoulder the responsibility for the team's 5-match winless run in the league. And in another sports news, on Olympics, a third of Japanese want Tokyo Games cancelled. A third of Japanese residents wants the Tokyo Olympics to be scrapped amid fears for that an influx of foreign arrivals may cause a further spike in COVID-19 cases, a poll by the public broadcaster NHK showed on Tuesday. The Japanese government and International Olympic Committee decided in March to postpone the 2020 Olympics by a year due to the novel coronavirus pandemic, with the global showpiece now slated to take place from July 23rd through August 8th. But as Japan grapples with a third wave of infections, the NHK poll conducted from December 11 through 13 showed 32% of respondents wanted the Summer Games to be cancelled entirely. Only 27% said they should go ahead as scheduled, while 31% favored another delay. According to an NHK poll in October, 40% said the Olympics should be held as planned, with only 23% favoring cancellation and 25% preferring further postponement. And that's the size of the news for today from News Desk on Celebration TV. But in case you missed out, here is a recap of the news making the rounds. ACF decries federal government's lamentation, says Nigeria insecure under Buhari. Ivory Coast Ouattara appoints former rival to cabinet. On COVID-19 update, Germany introduces new restrictions amid rise in cases. Federal government orders telcos to block SIMs without names December 30th. Under fire, Arteta vows to stop Arsenal blip. And now to the photo of the day. Do you focus your energy on the right things? That is one question you really need to ask yourself. Do you focus your energy? Do you channel it to yourself as an individual? Because it is only what you intentionally put your attention to that grows faster than any other aspect of your endeavors. So, answer the question yourself today. Are you channeling your energy to the right direction? We would love to hear your feedback. We would love to get your comments. We would love to know what you think on the photo of the day. So do well to get back to us via our social media platforms. On Facebook, Celebration TV; on Instagram, My Celebration TV; on Twitter, at My Celebration TV; and on YouTube, Celebration TV. The continuous transformation of our society is a collective responsibility of all, no matter the office you hold, as a nation's president, a thought leader, an opinion molder, a character builder, a professional, or as a person pursuing passion. You have a duty to give your all to making the society a better place for us and the generations to come. So play your part and do it with all diligence. I am Comfort James Enatis. Many thanks for watching.
1.7 trillion naira by the end of December 2019.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing INT'L of committing a gross of
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State governor